in as we are coming your way across across KMOX after a really tough one this evening. Cardinals lose, as mentioned, by that 5-4 score. If you want to join us, you can do so by calling or texting 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call or text. You can also tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. Or if you are watching us on the video stream, we welcome your comments by just leaving a chat message, and we will take a look at those as we go along through the evening. That's a tough loss. That's a really tough loss. I think you feel worse about that game ending in that fashion than if they would have just lost like 3-0 and not scored. You love the fact, and I'm not trying to be dismissive of what they did in the bottom of the 8th inning. It was awesome. You love that they put up that 4 spot. You love the Von Herrera home run. You love all of those things, but the way it almost emotionally makes you feel, it feels like a much tougher loss after coming back in that fashion. There's a lot of things to talk about. I'm getting a ton of messages on this. A lot of people are upset that Ryan Helsley was allowed to pitch. A lot of people thought that Lars Nootbaar should have been bunting there in the 10th inning. There's a few other things that people are getting into as well. So we could talk through those things for sure. This is so this frustrates me a little bit. So somebody was, if you listened into Oliver Marmol's post-game media session, he spoke about the randomness of baseball. And you had to listen to the context of what he was saying, because essentially where that came up, if I remember correctly, of what Ali said, I believe what he said when he was talking about the randomness of baseball, it wasn't so much about this game today. It was about some things that have happened with Helsley, because for Helsley today, this was his 3rd straight appearance where he blew a save. And that's why I think people are upset. And there was nothing random. He wasn't talking about the randomness today, if I heard what he said correctly. I'd have to go back and listen for sure. I wasn't expecting to get this text message, to be honest with you. But the way I remember it, he was talking about some of the previous blown saves from Helsley and how there was some bad luck involved in that. Now, something's up with Helsley. Let's start with that. Our guy Kevin Wheeler, who is is obviously part of the station here at KMOX, and we do Redbird Rush Hour together. He made the point to me when we were texting earlier today, just the damage that is being done on Helsley's fastball specifically, where the 4-seam fastball for Helsley, batters are hitting better than 400 against it. So something's up with the fastball, and I don't quite know what's going on. The other pitches he's a lot more effective with, although some of he's not throwing for strikes as much. Ali certainly made the point that you don't always have to have great location when you've got big-time velo, and that's 100% correct. I guess I would say, so the point that Ali was making when it came to the back-to-back-to-back blown saves and the randomness of baseball that goes along with that is not so much tonight, but previously there were some, ground balls that get through and things like that. I'm not saying that's the only reason. Maybe he even overstated that a little bit when you look at what hitters are doing against the fastball specifically, and there's some damage, and Helsley does not look quite right. I'm with everybody on that one. What all-star closer in baseball is being removed from the closer's role or skipped from a save opportunity because of back-to-back blown saves? That's baseball. It happens. It's baseball. Blown saves do happen. And sometimes they happen twice in a week. I bring up experiences that I had in Milwaukee fairly often because that's where I was at before I got back home to St. Louis. And during my time in Milwaukee, they had a guy by the name of Josh Hader who was closing out games. And you know what? Josh Hader, every single year, man, he is good for a week or two of just being bad, just being terrible, just giving up home run after home run after home run, and it gets out of his system, and then he goes back to being Josh Hader. And that happens. So if you're sitting here saying that Ryan Helsley shouldn't have been in that game because he had two blown saves, back-to-back blown saves coming in. Like, to me, that's crazy talk. Now, what isn't crazy talk is trying to figure out what's leading to what's going on right now with Helsley. Why is the fastball right now for Helsley very hittable? That's the question. It's not a location thing. Maybe it has something to do with he has to throw it too much because he's not throwing some of his other pitches for strikes. Like, I don't totally know. We'll have Oliver Marmol on Gas House Gang coming up tomorrow, and we'll certainly talk through that. So I'm with you that Helsley doesn't quite look right. His numbers say that it's different even from last year, that the averages and the numbers against the fastball are very noticeable and something that we have to take note of. But where I'm not with you is the idea that he shouldn't have been pitching in this game. To me, that is absurd, to be perfectly honest with you. All-star closer, had two blown saves. It happens. It just happens. 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. You can tweet at me if you'd like, at Matt Pauley on air. Let's start with Mark, who's giving us a call. Hey, Mark, you're on the Extra Innings Show.
Yes, Matt, and I agree with your assessment that you just got through with, in terms of Helsley. But I do think that, if, in fact, that that they're hitting that fastball, maybe just want to just show it to them. I mean, the ninth place hitter, who had been 0 for 18, just got a bunt hit, hit the ball out of the park. I think that's something that needs to be reckoned with. So your assessment is good in the analysis that you gave. But this is where I have a problem with the Cardinals. They've been a pretty good hitting team, far much better than last year in terms of situational hitting. Lawrence Newborn, and everybody loves him. I do too. But he needs, Marmol needs to give him a rest. He needs to give him a rest because he's not himself either.
Yeah.
When has this been since we've seen Lawrence Newborn, who has a good batting eye, and earlier in the game could have gotten a walk? In some cases, walks are just as good as a base hit to get on base, at least set the table. That's still, I think, the role of the leadoff hitter. He's not even doing that. If he just hits the ball to the right side of the infield, then we tie the game up, and who knows what happens. At least it gives the Cardinals opportunity to win. I think he needs a rest, and while Walker is out, you could put Donovan back out in left field there, and Norman is actually doing a lot better. Let him play second base so he can get his at-bats. He's looking real good, too. So, the 3 outs that was made, if Wynn is batting in first, and he's a pretty good clutch hitter, he's really come along, a clutch hitter, he's going to make contact. That at least moves Victor Scott to third base, and Donovan is a good clutch hitter. He makes an out, but it could have been a productive out. But when you have a leadoff hitter there, and not too many Shohei Ohtanis where you don't ask them to bunt, a leadoff hitter should be at least able to bunt the ball or at least hit the ball, make contact, productive out. It's almost like a gift run if you play fundamental basic baseball, and that's not happening with the Cardinals. And if you notice, I think they have 4 or 5 losses in extra inning games, and it's only because they're not playing good, basic, fundamental baseball in extra innings. That's my comment.
Appreciate the phone call for sure. So you said a lot right there. I probably would not have been having Nootbaar bunt there, but you have to be able to trust a guy like Nootbaar, who is a big part of your team, to be able to at least advance the runner at the very least. You win extra inning games by scoring multiple runs in the inning. And I am well aware of the fact that they're down 1 run there in the 10th, so you have to get at least 1 run to have a chance to win the game. If you don't play for 2, if the answer to not getting 2 is getting 0, like I get that. I'm not trying to run away from that fact, but I'm also stating the fact that to win a game more often than not in extra innings, you got to find a way to get multiple runs. So if you've got Lars Nootbaar at the plate right now, even with his struggles, and I'm not trying to hide his struggles. I was texting with Bernie Miklasz earlier tonight, so just to give credit to where the numbers are coming from. For Nootbaar in his last 6 games, he is 1 for 19 with 9 strikeouts. Did have a couple walks in the final game of the Kansas City series. If you go back beyond that, he's 4 for his last 28. It's not going well right now for Lars Nootbaar. I understand that. He's still one of your main guys, and I still think you have him go up to the plate, not to bunt, but his job in that moment, his job is to, if he cannot drive the ball, that he at least gets the runner over, not strike out. And he struck out in that situation. He did not come through. So, like, all the people who are yelling and screaming for Lars Nootbaar to be bunting in that situation, like, we agree that he had to get the runner over. That's what we agree on. What we don't agree on is the route in which that happens, because I don't have a bunt there. I trust him that he can get the runner over. And bluntly, that just it didn't happen. It did not happen in this situation tonight. Let's grab Tim, who's giving us a call. Hey, Tim, you're on the Extra Innings Show.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right.
Good. Look, I don't profess to be any kind of a baseball guy, certainly not like you guys are. But I with all due respect to your last caller, you can't put this loss on Lars Nootbaar. My gosh, most major league pitchers would rather not face Nootbaar, I would think, no matter what his streak is. But that being said, I really called about Helsley. And, here's the thing. I get maybe not getting rid of the guy because he's blown three in a row or whatever it was. But the truth of the matter is he's had 13 save attempts, and he's lost 5 of those 13. That's not a good average to have if you're a closer. And I don't know what the answer is. He's been good for the Cardinals. Maybe he's doing something wrong. But here's the thing. Don't you think a lot of Major League Baseball hitters, they're not scared of 98, 101 mile an hour pitches any longer if they're right down the middle. And that's what he's doing with them. And he doesn't seem to control his other stuff. So they're sitting on his fastball. I'm going to hang up and listen to you guys comment a little bit if you would. Thanks a lot for letting me talk.
Yeah, you bet. Appreciate it. So a couple things there. First off, what you mentioned the save. So right now he's 13 of 18 in save opportunities, the 5 blown saves like you mentioned, and that's not a great percentage. He had a blown save against Boston there on March 6th, and he had a blown save against Milwaukee on March 26th. He then went through the month of that was April. Excuse me, April. You know what I mean. Don't put a calendar up against me. So those both happened. In April. Then that took us into May. In the month of May, he was 9 of 9 in save opportunities, and he had a 2.45 ERA. Had a WHIP, 1.27. That's not great. 2.56 batting average against actually isn't that great either. But if the closer's job is to convert saves, he did that at an elite level in May because he was 9 of 9. So you mentioned the 5 blown saves. Well, are you not supposed to use him because he's had 3 consecutive blown saves in June, and then all of a sudden you're going, like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful or rude to the caller, but you cited the 5 blown saves on the season. Well, to me, the first 2 don't matter anymore. The first 2 have no impact on anything. They happened in the month of April, and then he went on a roll of converting 9 straight over 1 month. So my decision-making process right now does not factor in what he did in April, because what he's done recently has been very good. And again, I'll go back to what I said earlier. Back-to-back blown saves for an all-star closer, that's not enough reason for me to say that you're not going to bring him back in. As far as like not being afraid of 99, 100 right down the middle, yeah, I mean, guys can catch up with that, but if you go you can go find online if you want. You can go find like batting average against velocity in certain areas of the plate. So if you throw 100 middle, or you throw 92 just touching the corner, there's actually going to be a higher batting average against the 92 on the corner. Velo plays. Velo is the biggest deal that you have. And Oliver Marmol talked about it in postgame about how he doesn't have to be very, pristine with his where he's locating because of how hard he throws. Now, he has not touched that quite as much recently, and that is also something to take a look at. Let's see. Let's go into today and see what he was where he was topping out at. This will take me just a second or so. So for Helsley, on the four-seam fastball, you know what? He was right there. Four-seam fastball today. His hardest pitch that he threw today was 101.9. He was sitting. His average on his four-seamers today was 99.8. So basically 100 miles per hour. That's going to register as. His slowest four-seamer today was 97.8. So no problem with the velo. No problem with the velo today when it comes to Helsley. It seems like at times maybe that's taking a little bit of a step back, but those are the numbers today. So he hit 101.9 today with his four-seamer, and he was sitting right at 100. So any talk of velo being the issue, that absolutely was not the case today with what he was doing. 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. You can tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air, or you can just leave a comment on our video chat as well. We're back with more in just a moment. It is the Extra Innings Show on KMOX.
There's a big red barn where you save green. Norm's Bargain Barn. On discount windows, doors, and things. Norm's Bargain Barn.
Hi, I'm Norm Wilkie. Come see my new selection of Amish cabinetry made by my good Amish friends at Countrywood Products. We now stock 5 styles of cabinetry for you to choose from.
When you need to save on discount windows, doors, and cabinetry, come to Norm's Bargain Barn. With locations in Shiloh and Fenton at the bottom of Gravois Bluffs. Visit normsbargainbarn.com.
That's normsbargainbarn.com.
You know Gray Bar for electrical parts. But there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Now, back to the Verizon Extra Innings Show.
Welcome back in as we roll on here on KMOX. It's the Extra Innings Show. So Donald sent in a message, actually sent in a lot of messages on our video stream. And I'll tell you what, this was quite the roller coaster ride we went on with Donald. He started by saying that he loves the show, which I appreciate. I hope he still loves the show. He mentioned before, I didn't even see this until after I talked about the velocity. I looked up and I saw all these messages. He talked about the Helsley velocity, and he does not believe the velocity numbers that I cited when it comes to Ryan Helsley. But that's they are what they are. I mean, all I can do is go with the StatCast data that's out there. So, and that's. Donald, you can go find that for yourself. I mean, you can go to Baseball Savant, you can go do whatever you want to do, and you can find the exact same data that I am citing today when it comes to Helsley and how hard he was throwing his fastball, his four-seamer. He threw, by the way, 12 four-seamers today. He threw 11 sliders, and then he threw one curveball. Of the four-seam fastballs, strike rate was at 58% of his sliders. He was throwing the slider for strikes today, 64% of the sliders. Got some swing and miss on the sliders as well. He didn't, not that a fastball is a big swing and miss pitch, but did not get any on the four-seamer. Of the 5 swings that he got on the slider today, 3 of them were swing and miss. So Yeah, I mean that's the big question right now when it comes to this team. It's what's going on with Helsley in terms of why he is being hit, and we mentioned it earlier that it's the fastball. For whatever reason, it's the fastball right now, and the velocity is still there, and it's just not it's not working for him. Let's go to Zach, who's giving us a call. Hey, Zach, you're on the Extra Innings Show.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Doing all right.
Good. This is Zach Morris from Bayside High School in California. So I'm at the max right now, wondering what happened to Ryan Helsley's arm. I'll hang up and listen. Thanks, guys.
All right. A Saved by the Bell reference here on a late night on the program. Yeah, appreciate the phone call. Obviously, we've talked a lot about Ryan Helsley throughout the course of the program. So there we go. Is that going to be the new thing here? Is that you know what? I've been doing this a long time. If the prank calls that we are going to get is somebody saying that they're Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell, I think I can take that. There was no cussing. There was no yelling. There was none of that stuff. It was, you know what? We could go like all 90s sitcom, like Corey Matthews from Boy Meets World could call in. Uncle Joey from Full House could call in. Like we could do all kinds of things when it comes to 90s TV shows. So I probably shouldn't send that challenge out. But on a night like tonight, that was a little bit funny. Text message says, "Mercy, mercy. It would have been sweet with a Helsley save, but sometimes it just does not happen." Yeah, look, I'm not trying to not read text messages, by the way. Basically, almost every text message I've gotten today is about either Helsley and his usage or Lars Nootbaar and whether or not he should have been bunting. I think we've gone through those topics pretty much, so there's not a whole lot more to say on that at this point in time. A little bit of talk on Andre Palante. I guess give him credit. He was being hit really hard. He was being hit really, really hard in those first two innings, and then he turned it around. And it wasn't even that the hard hit rate went down that significantly. So that's the thing with Palante, and that's where it's really tough to talk about Andre Palante because, yeah, you know what? His line today is perfectly fine. He went 6 innings and he gave up 2 runs on 7 hits with 3 strikeouts and 1 walk. You'll take that. If for the rest of time, Andre Palante gives you 6 innings and gives you 2 runs on 7 hits, you're taking it, and you're talking about how good it was. He even said it, though. If you were listening to his post-game comments afterwards, he said it himself that, you know, he didn't really feel like there was a whole lot of difference between his pitches in the first 2 innings and what he did later in the game. It was just solid contact was being made on good pitches. So if the quality of pitch is essentially the same from the first 2 innings to the final 4, but in the first 2 it's resulting in a couple runs and a ton of hard contact, and in the final 4 there's still hard contact but not quite as much, and you're being a little bit more successful with it, that's where luck comes in on all of this. And I know people don't want to hear about luck, but that's what, you know, on his last start, that's what we talked about, because he got some really, really bad luck, and it wasn't that he was really doing that much different than he normally does. It was just a case of some ground balls got through in addition to some hard contact. I'm not like absolving him for being a guy who's got hard contact. He's got some of the most hard contact against him in baseball, but he's able to work around that hard contact when he's getting other outs against the guys who don't have hard contact. But when he doesn't get those outs, when the soft contact does result in hits, so you've got the combination of the hard contact and then you've got the soft contact going through, that's where he really runs into a problem. That's what we saw in the last start. That's what we saw in the first 2 innings today, and it's what we didn't see in the final 4 innings, and I really don't have much of an answer for it beyond that. The Extra Innings Show is being presented by Gray Bar. Gray Bar is your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. What's on Deck is presented by Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best. Cardinals and Toronto, game 2 of the 3-game series coming up tomorrow. It'll be Miles Michaelis on the mound, 4-2, 3.96 ERA. Chris Bassett will go for the Blue Jays, 6-3, 3.56 ERA. That's going to be a 6:45 first pitch. Network coverage at 5:50. Our Cardinals coverage will get underway at 5 o'clock with the Redbird Rush Hour. Don't forget, tomorrow, 12 noon, it's the Gas House Gang. It is our weekly conversation with Cardinals manager Oliver Marmol, where he takes your questions as well. That's all coming up tomorrow right here on KMOX.
This is Tom Ackerman. Like an MVP candidate, Chesterfield Fence and Deck, one of St. Louis